What's going on? How we doing?
Questions to Michael.
Jock, DeMichael Cole, Memphis Commercial Appeal here. Just what's it been like getting adjusted in Memphis, getting to know kind of your new teammates?
Yeah, it's been great. Came in by myself. It's been a nightmare setting up the house. There's way too many boxes to unpack there, but getting into the facility and kind of hanging out with the boys has been kind of a seamless fit. They've made it super welcoming, and credit to the organisation that they make that whole transition unbelievably easy. So, I've enjoyed getting to know the guys. Obviously, when you're around the track for a little while, you kind of meet a few people around, and you kind of know of each other. So I knew of Brandon Clark. We played against each other in college, and a couple of the other boys I'd chatted to on the court a few times. So I think I'm really enjoying being here, and look forward to getting this season rolling.
Jock, Steven Adams was a player that was very beloved here in Memphis. I'm just curious if you learned anything from him in the time in Houston and what that was like.
Yeah, probably learned a few things that I shouldn't talk about, but he's one of a kind, Steve-O. I enjoyed watching him play last year and kind of getting to know one another. Had a lot of recommendations on how to approach, my time in Memphis, and, things to do, people to kind of reach out to, and spoke very highly of the organisation as a whole. So, it's someone that, I was texting him yesterday, I think, just about some things. He's a veteran of the NBA now, and kind of knows his way around the system. So, he has some sound advice. I love Steve-O because he has advice on like how to play with some of these guys as well, and things that he sees will work with my game, with Jar, for example, and Jaren. So he's happy to kind of exhaust his knowledge. Steve does not shut up, so he loves to talk, and he's happy to kind of tell you about that kind of stuff, and I guess have like a positive impact on your career, and he seems to do that with a lot of people. So it's definitely a guy that I've lent on over the last couple of years since we got together in Houston 2 years ago or whatever it was, and we'll continue to do so.
Kind of off that, what are the things that you feel like you're bringing to this team in terms of fit, especially early in the season with all the injuries in the front court?
Yeah, it's a big opportunity, and it's one with a guy like Jar. My mentality is always make someone like Jar's job easier. I've done that time and time again through my career, being a guy who kind of enjoys the role of setting screens and freeing people up and then just crashing the glass. So, having played in Europe around the same time as coach, and, him knowing my style and how I can fit into this team, I think that we have a good grasp on how I can fit in a bigger role that I probably have in the past. But, that's not to take away from the things that I really enjoy doing, which is setting screens, offensive rebounding, and then just, being defensive minded in terms of, making sure I've got everyone's back. So, nothing out of the ordinary. You're going to see a guy who works really hard and plays and gives it his all every single night, and hopefully makes guys like Jar's job a bit easier. And
Jeff Calkins from the Daily Memphian. So can you tell us anything that Steve-O said about how to enjoy the city of Memphis, and how have you been adjusting so far to the place?
Yeah, so Steve loves his hunting and his fishing, and I think that's just kind of a part of our way of life down in Australia and New Zealand. He's had some advice on that kind of stuff, just getting out and disconnecting where I can. He's a guy that enjoys barbecue a lot, so he says that the Memphis barbecue is better than the Texas barbecue, which I heard that Texas was the best, so I'm looking forward to trying that out. And then just when we first signed here, he was kind of like, these are the areas you want to look to live. So having that kind of inside track makes life a lot easier. So we were able to kind of get ourselves a house and move straight in, rather than get here and try and figure it out on our own. So just little things like that he's helped take care of.
Jock right here in the back. Matt Infield with Action News 5 here in town. Welcome to Memphis, first and foremost.
Thanks, man.
Other than playing with Ja, obviously a point guard that thrives off of ball screens, what else about Tomas's system made you think right away that it would be a great fit? I know you mentioned that you guys were in Europe at the same time. Did you have a relationship with him dating back before this or not?
We didn't have a relationship, no, but it was kind of he was a guy who was kind of coming up and doing some big things in Germany, I think, at the time. And when you're out there, there's always conversation about most of the time the coaches are kind of the bigger presence than the players. Coaches are talked about a lot more because it's a game that requires a lot of thinking out there rather than just kind of rolling the ball out and getting to it. So. He was a guy that was kind of, starting to gain some traction when I was there 5-6 years ago, and knowing players that have been in his system and how he likes guys who play tough, play fast, which is definitely two things that I enjoy to do, and then who are able to kind of think the game and see it unfold. It was kind of a match made in heaven, I suppose, in the NBA. So. I think there's an appreciation on both sides of what we might be able to bring to the table, and I just think that it being a ball screen heavy team where it's kind of it's not just blindly setting screens. It's kind of more direct and thoughtful, I suppose, is the right way to say it. That kind of fit my game because I think that's what I did a lot of in Europe, and I've probably been required less so to do that since being here.
You may have just alluded to it, and I'm not sure of what other opportunities may have been out there for you this summer, but what ultimately do you think led you here to Memphis, and what excites you the most about being here?
Well, I'd had my my wife had given birth to my child like 4 hours beforehand, so it was like this whirlwind, and I think that we were both really, really excited by the opportunity when it kind of presented itself. Just opportunity, it's something that I'd really lacked for 2 years since signing what I considered to be, a life-changing deal for me and my family. And I suppose that, whilst I was there, it was hard to just sit back and not get to play the game as much as I wanted to. And it's a game that we all love and we all want to be a part of. And it's hard to find an opportunity that's as opportunistic as the one that Memphis was presenting. So that's all I've ever wanted, is just roll the ball out and play as much as possible and prove that I can do so at a high level. And I felt like I did that in Phoenix, and then probably regressed a bit on that front whilst I was in Houston, riddled with that injury. First year I got to Houston kind of set me back a long way, and then it was just an uphill battle trying to find a way into that rotation. So the whole conversation over the last couple of years was just, I want to play, and my wife would get so sick of hearing me say it, but when this came up, it feels like a really big opportunity for me going on 30 years old and trying to, find the best version of myself on the court and, be able to get to it as much as I want to. So, it really was a simple decision.
Last question, Greg.
Okay. Hey, Jock, Greg Gaston, Sports 56 Radio. When you were with your former teams and you would come to Memphis and you prepared to play the Grizzlies here in the Grindhouse, what was the perception like and then reality of playing the Memphis teams in the past?
I mean, grit and grind really sums up Memphis at its finest. I feel as though you guys have nailed that one over the years. It was a place that you knew you were coming in for a dogfight, and you knew it was going to be a tough night no matter what. And that was the team that you guys had kind of built over the last 5 years that I've been around, and then also just knowing that the fan base is about that too. And I think that that excited me a lot, and it used to be a place I used to go home from and say far out, that was a tough place to play. So it's one that I look forward to being on the right side of, and it's one that I think fits my personality and my play style a lot. So I'm just excited to be here and be able to get after it with you guys.
Thank you, John.
Cool. Cheers, guys.